Guys, yeah, what is up? What is going on out there today? Hey, it's Brent Abel here, webtennis.com, with another episode of January 2025, the Daily Fundy, as in fundamental. Yeah, today is January 7th, and yeah, wrapping up the first week here, which we've been working on some stroke mechanic fundamentals. We're also going to get into some mindset stuff as well, along with some other tactical things throughout the month. But daily fundy. And look, I mean, the message I got to convince you of throughout the entire month, if I haven't already done so, is a very strong message I got from the great legendary Northern California coach, Tom Stowe, back in the day when I started working with him. And I got a little bored one day after being on the court with him for a few times because we kept working on the same exact thing over and over, a fundamental. And I said, Coach, okay, when are we gonna start working on the advanced stuff? Not the not the question I'm sure that he wanted to hear. Anyway, he basically changed my tennis career at that moment with his response, which was, Mr. Abel, once you master the fundamentals, that's the advanced stuff. There's nothing else. And that really freed me up at that moment in time, back in the early 80s, where I just kind of went, wow, that's all I have to do. Now, that's all I have to do is not as easy as it sounds because there's a lot of ups and downs in terms of trying to master something. But once you embrace that, once you embrace the process of how to master a fundamental, then everything changes. And so, look, guys, we're going to get into something today that I call practice smooth. Before we do, just a quick reminder, look, if you're playing tight, the reality is the confidence code for mental toughness gets built first off the court. Today's I should say at the end of today's message on playing smooth, I'm going to do a deeper dive on what's in a course that I've got for you. It's the 5 mini mindset skills training course, and I want to spend a little bit extra time today explaining to you what's in that course, because if you're playing tight, that's no fun. And I've definitely got a solution for you. All right, guys, look, the first 6 days, right? We worked on some swing tech mechanics, each one of them being a fundamental. And so what I want you to be able to do here is on day 7 is to go out there and try not to be thinking too consciously about the fundamentals that we worked on those first 6 days. And instead, I want you to feel smooth, right? I think too often what we do is we go out there and we just, quote unquote, kind of fight the ball a little bit. And and in the end, all this about fundamentals is actually getting smooth, right? It's building this confidence in how you've been working on each one of the fundamentals, how you continue to work on the fundamentals. For me, maybe not like you, but for me, it's not like riding a bike. I mean, it's not like I get this epiphany and all of a sudden I go, oh, okay, well, yeah, I got to start doing this fundamental. And it's like a light switch. I flip it on and I'm good to go forever. I'm not like that. I need to continue to remind myself of these fundamentals. And I typically pick out one each and every day just as a reminder so that I don't get sloppy, right? And look, I want you to feel smooth out there. And so here's what I want you to do today when you're on the court is not that we're going to slow down. Like one of the things that we talked about early on, I think was the fundamental number 2, which was an instant shoulder prep turn. If the ball's on your right, if you're a right-handed player, to make sure that now you're getting a forehand, right? So you're instantly prepped. And if the ball from your opponent or your practice partner lands in the net, to make sure to see where you are, check where you are. If you're only halfway getting turned as that ball goes in the net, then make sure that you complete the turn and you tell your brain right then and there, hey, we got to be fully 100% turned as the ball crosses the net. Same thing on your backhand, right? So at the same time, as you execute the swing, I want you to feel smooth, right? I just want you to, and look, we have to practice that feeling of what smooth is. For you, feeling smooth might be slightly different than me. Mine might be slightly different than, some other guy down the line there. That's totally fine. But you got to figure out for you what is smooth, right? And I got my good friend. Actually, I'm traveling to Naples, Florida, this coming Saturday to play a tournament down there next week. Uh, which starts which starts January 11th. If you, by the way, if you're in the Naples, Florida area, and we haven't met, please stop by during next week. Would love to meet you, catch up, and that'd be great. Look, but I'm staying with the Landauers. I'm playing with Phil and Mikey Landauer, two of the greatest people I've ever met. And one of the things that Phil gave me a while ago was we'd be out there on the practice court, just sort of hitting. He said, "Look," and he's got a nice little southern twang to it. Brant, look, my coach back then said, Phil, just be smooth. So I'm probably butchering the southern accent. Anyway, and I really took that to heart in terms of that's what we want to feel. We don't want to feel like we're having to fight the incoming tennis ball. We don't want to feel like we're having to fight whatever, right? All this mental stuff that we could kind of bring to the party when we start to forward swing. We want the opposite. We want to feel smooth. Now, look, again, for you, feeling smooth might feel different than me. That's totally cool. You got to find what your unique smooth is and practice it as a fundamental, right? So, hope this has been helpful. Get out there today and do it. And look, I mean, I don't know why we don't do it each and every time we're on the court. We certainly could in the warm up. We could maybe focus on one fundamental. As I've told you guys before, the Fed head for me is like, man, when I'm really doing that in a close match, I just feel like I bring the best of my tennis out. At least I give myself the best chance on that day to play at the very top of my current skill level. So when you're doing that, and whatever the fundamental is for me, it's the Fed head a lot of the time. But I'm trying to feel smooth as I'm doing that. So belaboring the point, but it's important. Really, really important. Look, guys, before I get into doing a deeper dive on what I've got for you with the 5 mini mindset skill training, the confidence code for busting through being tight, for busting through the nerves, any anxiety. Before we get into that, look, I want to hear from you down below. What's on your mind today from this episode of Being Smooth? Right? Just leave me a comment, question, whatever is feedback or mark, let me know. I love to read your stuff and to be able to respond. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do so that you're always notified every time I upload new content and or go live. And if you like today's episode, hit that like button or whatever the button is. I would really really appreciate it. Guys, look again. If you're playing tight, there is a definite, tangible confidence code for developing mental toughness, for developing that kind of confidence that when you're playing in a really close match, right? Someone who's right there at your skill level, the best way to get the win on that day is your belief, is your trust that no matter what the score is, no matter where you are in the match, especially then at the end of sets, at the end of the match, that you're going to have clarity, you're going to have focus in terms of shot choice. And when you do that, you really give yourself the best chance to win. The opposite of that is getting tight, right? Where now all of a sudden you're starting to live in the future. Man, I hope he misses. Man, I hope I win this match. All this other stuff of living in the future is a recipe for getting tight. So this stuff gets built off the court first. That old message that I never ever figured out was, well, Brent, if you want to get confident, you got to go out and win. Wait a minute, man. How am I going to win if I'm not confident? So that never really made any sense to me. And so for me, I really had to build confidence off the court. And a lot of it for me was that I would play great in practice. My God, I could play lights out in practice. Talking about smooth, we were talking about today. I felt so smooth, so under control. It could be a really close practice match, and I just didn't feel tight. And yet, when I got in the real deal matches, oh boy, things would change. My mind would go into some different thoughts that were not great. And and so look, I want to help you. If this is something that you're going through where you're playing great in practice, but you just can't transfer it over to the real deal, whether it's a league match, whether it's a tournament match, maybe even it's just a serious practice match. I want to help you feel like you can play as well if not better, in those real deal matches as you do in practice. And look, what I've got for you is a course. It's 5 mini mindset skills that I put together that before 2022, I went from, well, I should say during that time, 2022 and before, I was pretty good. I had a decent senior career. I think I'd won 11 national titles in singles and doubles at that point. That was over decades. All right. I'm not complaining. It was good stuff. But once I put these 5 mini mindset skills together that I got from different sources, uh, in 2023, I went from 11 to 21, 10 national titles, both singles and doubles in, I think it was 13 or 14 months, right? The end of 2022 until the beginning of 2024. I want to help you be able to do the same thing wherever you are at your current skill level. These 5 mini mindset skills, most of them built off the court first, can help you in terms of the situation where we play so much better in practice than we do in matches. To date, 150 plus players. Can't remember the last count. Checked it out a few weeks ago, but 150 players at least had signed up for this course. And one guy in particular, a guy named Dave, who I know well, and I've worked with him on the court as well too. He got the course. Good, solid player, but boy, when he was getting into the real deal matches, and this is a national level guy, and he just, man, he would get tight. He would get tight, and he would come to me with some frustration, which was, Brent, I'm playing well until I get to a certain point in the match, and then it just doesn't work. So I got him into the course, and within a short period of time, within a few weeks, he got back to me. He said, "This is different. I'm playing different. Thank you." And he went from where he was before, as I described, to where he is now, to where he's doing some damage in these national level events. So look, guys, what I'm going to do this month, January of 2025, normally $197 for this course. I'm going to put it at a more than 50% discount at just 77 bucks. If you want to get started, there is a link right down below that will take you over to a page where all you got to do is drop in your information, your contact information, name and email address, and then your credit card payment stuff, and you will get immediate access to this course. Guys, looking forward to getting you inside this, because if you're still struggling with playing tight at the end of sets or the end of matches, here's something that I know will help you. Right down below, there's a link. Click it and get started. Guys, it is time. We've got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Gang, I will see you guys again tomorrow.